winterization video on how to winterize your RV last week. You guys can go back and check that video out. But I also talked to my buddy Angelo here. We've known each other for a long time. We went to school together. We've worked at a couple of different HVAC companies, sort of came up through the ranks together. Me and him started out in residential. Now we've moved on to commercial. He actually works for the same company that I used to work for, so that tells you how far we go back. But today we're going to be working on something of his. What are we working on today, Angelo?
Well, today Nick asked me to do a video on winterizing my boat. You know, he did the video on winterizing his camper. I know a lot of you guys that like to camp and RV and stuff, you're in the outdoors thing, so a lot of you have a boat. I've got a 2003 Tahoe Q5. It's got a Mercury, I believe it's a 3.0 liter Mercruiser, and we'll head over there in just a little bit, and we'll show you how to winterize the boat.
So what do you take your boat around with? What do you haul it with?
Right now I'm hauling my boat with my 2016 Toyota Tundra. It's got the 5.7 liter V8. It comes with the trailer brakes and everything factory. The only thing I got added to it was I got these tow mirrors, which are excellent for pulling the boat, backing into a boat ramp and everything. I wouldn't have it any other way. But yeah, this is her.
Alright, so we're over here at your boat, Angelo. You want to walk us through the steps of what you have to do to winterize it?
Yeah, so basically, we're going to go ahead and explain this before we start the boat, because the boat's kind of loud, but basically what you want to do, the way I was taught, is we're going to go ahead and get the engine up to operating temperature. That way our thermostat opens on the boat. And what we're going to do is we're going to leave our water hooked up to the boat during that time, so it's pumping water through like it normally should, so we don't overheat our engine. Okay, once it gets up to operating temperature, we're going to switch from the water to our antifreeze. And what we're going to do is we're basically just going to let the boat run just long enough to pump all the antifreeze out of this into the boat, and you should see it start coming out of the back once it's fed all the way through. After that, there are some drain plugs inside of the engine compartment. There's one on the block on each side, and there's also one on the exhaust manifold on either side. And we'll go through and take a look at those here in just a bit. But for right now, let's go ahead and see if we can get the boat started.
Now, so when you are switching from your water to antifreeze, do you leave the boat running for that, or do you shut it off?
Yes, I just leave it running.
Okay.
It shouldn't take too long to switch between them.
Okay, sounds good. We'll get started.
All right. Guys, we grabbed it up and takes it now. So the water pump is pushing water through the engine now. Also, our thermostat is open. So what we're going to do is Nick's going to go ahead and turn the water off. We're going to go ahead and switch to our antifreeze. So now we pretty much got the antifreeze in the engine. The next step is we've got drain plugs on the engine, on the each side of the block, and we also have 2 drain plugs on each side of the exhaust manifold. We're going to go ahead and open those up, and if we did everything right, we should have antifreeze coming out.
What is this contraption you built here? It looks like this is custom made. I don't think we can buy that in the store, can we?
Actually, yes, you can. Mercury actually sells this. However, they charge you like $60 for it. But if you can find a little 5-gallon container like this, it just gets the fittings from Lowe's. It's basically just a 3/4 pipe thread. And if you get you a cutoff and some adapters to go to a Acme hose thread, you can make one of these. I think I made this for like $6 in parts. I mean, and that's what I use. Hasn't failed me yet. Alright guys, so now we're back over here in the engine compartment, and there are 2 plugs like I was telling you. You got one right here on the exhaust, and then you got one right down under here, which is kind of hard to see on video, but it's right over here on the engine block. We're going to take both of those loose, and if we did everything right, we should have pink antifreeze coming out. So let's go ahead and see what we got. Alright. So that's the exhaust, and now we're going to do the engine. Alright, cool, looks like it worked. So one thing I might add when doing this, after everything's done and you got all that drained out, it's a really good idea to, you can either vacuum all the water out of there, or what I like to do is I leave the plug, the drain plug, out of the back of my boat, and when I put it away for the winter, I kind of elevate it a little bit so everything's draining towards that plug. If you were to leave water and everything down in your sump, what would actually happen is it could freeze and actually crack the bottom of your boat. So it's a good idea to get as much of that out as you possibly can. Alright guys, so this is going to pretty much conclude this video. Just to touch on a few points. Some people like to use fogging oil in their engines. That's a personal preference. I don't really like to do that. Nothing against using that, but that's just something I don't do. Also, the plugs that we pulled out of the engine, leave those out. That way, if there's any water or anything in there still left, it can drain, and that water, if it does freeze, it's got somewhere to go. Also, I leave my drain plug out of the back, like I said, and I don't know if you can tell from the video, but I've got the boat jacked up as high as it'll go. That way everything's leaning towards the drain plug. We don't want any water in the bottom of the boat, because like I said, if it freezes, it could bust the bottom of your boat, and that's definitely not good. Also, I will be putting a cover over it, of course, and all. But if there's anything you guys like to add, or have any suggestions on winterizing the boat, I've had this boat for 2 years. This will be basically the 3rd winter that I've winterized it. So if you guys have any suggestions, thoughts, or anything like that, just leave them in the comments. That's it.
Alright guys, that's it. Like he said, any suggestions, leave them in the comments. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe, hit the little bell so that it'll alert you when the new videos come out. And thanks for doing this for me.
Absolutely.